John in Texas. Welcome to the show. How can we help you tonight?
Hi there. So I guess a little prelude question for Alice. I know there can be some overlap between sex workers and at least, seeing what happens with sex trafficking, like kind of in your area. Is that something that you see a lot of or a little more personally familiar with as a result of your work, or is it still pretty distant from you and something you would have to keep up with news-wise?
It is absolutely something that I choose to keep up with news-wise. As a sex worker, I'm adamantly against sex trafficking, and so I help out with a number of anti-sex trafficking organizations. But in terms of closeness due to my industry, not at all, which frankly speaks to the difference between sex work and sex trafficking, in that I really don't see a lot of overlap.
For sure. Okay. So in that case, the question is a little more kind of directed to everybody. One of the things that people don't always talk about a lot is that immigration law actually has a really negative effect on sex trafficking. That being that because there are a lot of these people who are being trafficked by organizations like the cartel, for instance, that have all of this money and ability to essentially get people over here legally, but then put them in a situation where they're here illegally and can't go to the authorities for fear of being deported. They're now in a situation where they're being trafficked, but can't possibly get to recourse without going to a worse life situation. So I'm just kind of curious what your guys' kind of thoughts in general on that are.
Well, I can speak from the standpoint of volunteering with a number of different anti-sex trafficking organizations, in that in the spectrum of where sex trafficking is occurring, the immigration-related concerns specifically have been made worse by SESTA and FOSTA because they've been pushed further underground. Whereas previously, one might have come across an ad on a website like Backpage that was advertising a situation that didn't sound quite right. Now that ad no longer exists, and so it's being spread by word of mouth, and it's far harder to reach that. But the greater spectrum of sex trafficking, the immigration section actually represents perhaps one of the smallest slices of where sex trafficking is actually occurring and how it's occurring.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I mean, that was really my whole question. I'm a little curious if V and Christy have anything to say on it.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. And I think that this is, again, these are groups of people who we don't consider to be, worthy of our full attention. And so it doesn't surprise me that the immigrant population and the people who are being trafficked for sex, which again is a different conversation, is right. That overlap definitely makes sense to me. And nobody is being helped in this situation, right? This is a bad rule all around that doesn't have an upside, really, apart from making us feel better about ourselves from a weird, twisted, puritanical angle. So in the terms of real human cost, it's sunk.
Yeah, I mean, only to say that our immigration system in general is clearly broken, or perhaps from another angle is working exactly as it's intended to, which is to let in the types of folks that a very specific subset of our population approves of and demonize the rest. And so the fact that there is exploitation, the fact that there is violence is kind of built into that system. And until we stop wringing our hands over the color of the people that are coming in, the beliefs of the people that are coming in, and actually start opening our doors in a way that makes sense, in a way that is appropriately regimented, this type of exploitation is going to continue. And the fact that it is sexually based is just a part of the fact that it is full of violence and exploitation. The sexuality aspect of it only feels relevant in the exploitation aspect of it, at least to my mind.
Yeah, that's all about as well as I could imagine hearing any of that put. And just to Alice, I would never mean to say that sex workers are inherently like linked to sex trafficking. Just to be like super clear about that.
Oh no, I didn't take it that way at all. No worries.
For sure. Well, thanks for taking the call.
Thank you for calling in. Have a nice night.